What's going on, boys? We're here again with Premier League predictions for Match Week 10. Let's do a little recap on Match Week 9 first. So Match Week 9 concludes and we finish with 5 out of 10 1x2 and 1 out of 10 correct scores here. Arsenal Liverpool finishes 2-2. I had 2-1. Chelsea Newcastle finishes 2-1. I had 2-2 predicted there. Like, those two matches alone felt pretty close. Arsenal was 2-1 at halftime. Thought I could get that one in. Chelsea Newcastle. One of those things where I still cannot figure out when Chelsea are going to draw a team versus when they're going to just win the match outright. Crystal Palace Tottenham, finally, I got it right, somewhat right. Not the correct score right, but who would have thought Tottenham wouldn't score? I did have Crystal Palace winning this, and they do win 1-0. I had 2-1. West Ham, Manchester United. I thought I was cooking with the 1-1. It just felt like Erik ten Hag was going crazy with the draws. 1-1 felt right. West Ham scores super late to ruin that one. Everton, Fulham, I had 1-1 predicted. It finishes 1-1. We take that. Simply, we take that. Pat on the back. Correct scores aren't easy. We take that one. Aston Villa versus Bournemouth. I had 2-1 predicted. Villa draw Bournemouth 1-1. Brentford, Ipswich. Probably the craziest match of the match week. Finishes 4-3. I had 2-0. I get the Brentford to win part right. Not even close to the correct score. Brighton, Wolves finishes 2-2. I had 1-1. See, the problem is here, I don't think I'm ever predicting 2-2 for Brighton Wolves. I just can't get myself to do it. It just felt so right to predict 1-1. But knowing how Wolves have been playing and knowing how Brighton have been playing, I feel like it's pretty good to get the draw there even. Manchester City, Southampton, I had 4-0 predicted. It finishes 1-0. This is an interesting one because it kind of goes with my idea of the big teams versus the small teams in the Prem, taking the under there, taking the better team to score less goals. I should have taken my own advice. I think even then I would have predicted 2-0 or 3-0. I would have never predicted 1-0 there. This one was tough. Leicester, Nottingham Forest. I watched this match. I watched most of this match on Friday, and Nottingham outplayed the hell out of them. Chris Wood went crazy. Leicester never seemed to get on their front foot at home at King Power, so I was pretty surprised with the 3-1 Nottingham win there, especially when Nottingham played on Monday and then they played again on Friday. Even with the less rest, Nottingham Forest still got the win. So again, we had 5 out of 10 1x2 markets and 1 correct score right. If you guys haven't already, I'd really appreciate it if you guys hit that subscribe button and like that video. We are climbing to 4,000 subscribers, and I really appreciate every single one of you who have checked out the videos, who have subscribed, who have liked. So it means a lot to me if you subscribe to the channel and like this video. Let's get to Match Week 10 predictions. So we have Newcastle and Arsenal here. We have Newcastle sitting at 3.5 money line with Arsenal sitting at 1.9 money line. Over under sits right at about 2.5, 2.75. So we're thinking about 3 goals in this match. They are not really expecting Newcastle to score, right? 1.75 does give respect to Arsenal's defense here a little bit. Usually in a match like this, I would have expected 1.65 maybe, but I guess with Saliba and Gabriel back at the center back partnership, they are probably thinking a better defense here from Arsenal. And then if we look at the head-to-heads here, Newcastle at home have been just okay. Losing to Brighton 1-0 is still pretty crazy. Their other results here make a lot of sense. And then they also had a great 1-1 draw versus City. You have to at least consider that Arsenal pretty good defensively away from home, even if it hasn't looked nice recently. I feel like the way the odds are set up, it's kind of guiding me to believe that they're thinking either Arsenal win like a 1-0, 2-0 game, or they're seeing a 1-1 draw. The way I'm seeing this match goes, I will have Arsenal winning this match 1-0. Bournemouth and Manchester City. Right away, I see 1.5 for Manchester City. I always think when you have Manchester City above 1.5, the immediate thing that comes in my brain is that people are going to put Manchester City money line in their parlays. We look at Bournemouth at home. They've been pretty nice recently, right? They've won 3-1 against Southampton. They won 2-0 against Arsenal. I know it was a red card, but a win is still a win, right? They could have drawn that game, if anything. Kind of interesting here, right? So the 3 big teams they played, the 3 bigger teams they played at home recently, Newcastle, Chelsea, and Arsenal, all those matches went under 2.5. Something to think about there. And we check Manchester City away, and we see they beat Wolves 2-1. They drew Newcastle 1-1. They beat West Ham 3-1. They beat Chelsea 2-0. So we go to the odds now. We check the over-under. The over-under sits right at 3. And then we check the both teams to score, and that sits at about 1.67. I don't think Manchester City is just a lock to keep a clean sheet. With the total being set at about 3, and I feel like Manchester City can concede away from home, I'm going to go with a Manchester City Bournemouth 2-1 Manchester City win. Ipswich and Leicester. Ipswich at home hasn't looked great. Leicester away from home, they've been back and forth. There's not going to be much for us to look at here in the sense of recent performances because the championship, I feel like the teams are a lot different than the championship. So we're just going to have to use the odds mainly for this one. We have the over-under set at about 2.75, so they're thinking 2-3 goals. Both teams team to score sits at 1.57. It's tough for me, right? Because I want to back Ipswich at home because I feel like Ipswich at home could get this result. I was very disappointed with how Leicester looked at home against Nottingham Forest. I think the one thing that's pretty clear here in the recent few matches, we've seen 7 goals, 2 goals, 5 goals. We've seen 4 goals, 5 goals, 1 goal. So it's been a bit, I would say, higher scoring than lower scoring, and the total set at 3. For this match, I'm going to go with a Ipswich-Leicester 2-2 draw. Liverpool and Brighton. Liverpool at home are being given 1.42 on the money line. Brighton is 7 on their own money line there. The odds for the over-under sit right at 3.5. So they're thinking about 3 to 4 goals here. Both teams score sitting at 1.57, which is pretty traditional for a Brighton match. Brighton's both teams to score lines are always very, very low to begin with. We look at Liverpool at home, and there's not much to really look at. Besides the Nottingham fault here, we see just absolute great victories for Liverpool at home. And we look at Brighton away, and we've seen Brighton away are also pretty decent themselves with only 1 loss against Chelsea, which is not the worst team to lose to away from home. The last 2 matches for Liverpool at home, Liverpool won 2-1, and they drew 3-3. Thinking about the total being 3.5 here, for this match, thinking about all the odds and thinking about Liverpool's home form, but also how Brighton are able to score goals in their matches, I'm going to go with a Liverpool 3-1 win over Brighton. Nottingham Forest and West Ham. So we have Nottingham Forest at 2.15 on the money line with West Ham at 3.2. The both teams to score market is 1.7, which is kind of surprising. It did drop from 1.8, but I'm a little surprised it's not like, maybe 1.85, maybe even 1.9. You look at Nottingham Forest matches in general, and I feel like they tend to be more on the lower scoring end than the higher scoring end with a couple of BTTS no's in there. And then you look at West Ham's matches, but see, the counterpoint in West Ham's matches, they've always had both teams to score. Even if it's 4-1, 4-1, 1-1, 5-1, they've had 3 matches where there was a 3-goal difference or more, and there was still both teams to score here. With the odds being 2.15 for Nottingham Forest and the draw being 3.5, with the total the way it is, how I know Nottingham and West Ham have played recently with the both teams to score, I think for this match, Nottingham Forest and West Ham, I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. Southampton and Everton, the 1x2 market is as even as you can get with 2.6, 3.4, 2.63. Basically, we're being told that anyone can win this game. Either team could win. This game could end in a draw. Let's go look at the total here. The total is set at right at about 2.75, it seems. 2.5, 2.75, which seems pretty standard. Nothing seems crazy about that. The both teams to score market is sitting at 1.6. So they are expecting both teams to put in a goal of their own here. The one thing with Southampton that we have to think about is they held City to a 1-0 result. Now, knowing how teams play against City, they probably parked it in for the entire match, and they were just hoping to maybe get a counterattack. But fact of the matter is they only allowed 1 goal to City. Everton away from home is something to think about here. I think beating Ipswich 2-0 away from home is a great result. I know they lost to Aston Villa 3-2, but they were up 2-0 in that match. They literally blew it at the very end. So that seems more of like an outlier. We look at the recent matches between the two teams here, and we did see in 2023 that Southampton beat them 2-1. Everton beat them 2-1. So that's pretty interesting already. The last 2 Premier League matches they played, the away team won both matches 2-1. The problem with this match is when I look at the Southampton at home and look at Everton away, everything is just like back and forth. Like they do one thing this match, and then do another thing another match. These two teams seem very inconsistent, whether it's both teams to score or over under 2.5 goals. Looking at all the results for both teams, I'm going to go with a 2-1 win for Everton. Wolves and Crystal Palace, same exact thing as the last match. We are seeing 2.63 for Wolves win, 2.63 for Crystal Palace win. The odds are set up at right around 3 for this match. The both teams to score line was set at 1.5, but it's going up to 1.67, which is pretty interesting to me here. Crystal Palace away from home, I mean, there's not much you can really say. They've been dreadful this year. They haven't gotten a win away from home yet. Their first win actually came against Tottenham last week, which is still an insane result when you think about it. There's only been 1 goal or less in 4 out of Crystal Palace's last 5 matches. So that is just a very, very low scoring games. And it's completely flipped when you look at Wolves here, right? Wolves have had 4 goals, 3 goals, 8 goals, 3 goals, 4 goals, which is, it's just completely opposite of each other. So the odds for the over-under being set right around 3. The way this match is set up, the both teams to score, and the way the total is set, you know what? I had a direction I was going with, but I'm going to flip it right now. We're just going to back it again. We're going to back the crazy thing again. I'm going to go with Crystal Palace to beat Wolves 2-0. 3-1. Tottenham and Aston Villa, we are seeing Tottenham at 1.8 on the money line. Aston Villa is 3.75. Let's go with the over-under is because I'm curious how high it gets. The over-under is set at 3.5. Both teams to score is set at 1.44, so they are thinking a lot of goals in this match here. Tottenham at home have been pretty solid so far, with their only bad loss being against Arsenal, and it was only a 1-0 loss anyways. Aston Villa away from home, same thing. They've been pretty solid away from home. We go recently to the matches here. We see Tottenham beat Aston Villa 4-0. We see a 2-1, 2-1, 2-0, and also a 4-0. With it seems like they've gone back and forth, with Aston Villa having more wins in the last 5 than Tottenham. For some reason, I don't even want to overthink this matchup. My brain is just telling me to go one way with it, and I'm just going to stick with that. I'm going to go with Tottenham, Aston Villa, 2-1 for Tottenham. One of the bigger matches of the match week, we have Manchester United and Chelsea here. And again, for a third straight match, the books are giving us 2.6, 3.4, 2.6. Kind of crazy. A lot of unpredictable matches just based on the odds alone. We go to the both teams score market immediately because I want to see how likely they have both teams scoring, and 1.4 will probably be the lowest both team to score market of the match week. The over-under set at 3.25, 3.5 here. We do know that Manchester United have fired Erik ten Hag, and there is something with the new manager bounce that we could be looking forward to here. Manchester United at home have just been back and forth, right? Chelsea away from home. I mean, Chelsea in general have just been playing very well, right? Their only L away from home is against Liverpool. And then you check the recent head-to-heads here. We see Chelsea have won 4-3. United have won 2-1. United have won 4-1. Chelsea, United draw 1-1, and then another draw 1-1. So I feel like a draw here isn't like the craziest prediction. I'll be honest too. The new manager bounce could, put us in a draw. You have a Manchester United team who have just not performed to their fans' expectation, really. And then you have a Chelsea team who just seem like they're clicking on all cylinders. So I'm a bit surprised that the odds are 2.6, 3.4, and 2.6, right? The odds alone, and it's kind of getting old because I think I predicted this for United a bunch of times this year, whether it's 2-1 or 1-1. But for this match, I'm going to go with a Manchester United Chelsea 1-1 draw. Last match of the match week, we have Fulham and Brentford on a lovely Monday night. We have Fulham at 2 odd, Brentford at 3.5, which I think is pretty fair. Nothing really surprising about that. Both teams score sitting at 1.57, so they are expecting both teams to score with an over-under set right at 3. The way I see this match from a correct score standpoint, I can't get it out of my head. I think I'm going to go with a Fulham-Brentford 2-1 win for Fulham. All right, boys, that wraps up the predictions for match week 10. If you guys have not already, I would really appreciate if you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, but also in the comment section, let me know below what predictions you disagree with, what your favorite predictions are, and if you want to give me every single correct score prediction for the match week 10 in the comment section below, I'll read them all, I'll check them out, and I'll see what you guys are talking about. I will see you guys on match week 11.